All right, welcome to episode 1 of our new YouTube series. It is called Fig Life. It is me, John, what you're doing, and they're very fairly priced. Some people know me in the podcasting world, in the wrestling podcasting bubble, but this isn't podcasting. This is Fig Life. This is our new YouTube video series that we're doing here, and I'm here with my partner in crime, my co-host on one of my podcasts, Wrestling with Reality, one of the co-hosts on the Great Rad Turtles Wrestling Podcast, and the host of Wrestling Anonymous, the one, the only, the real deal, my buddy, my best friend, Mr. Richie Reardon. Richie, what's going on, partner? How you doing, man?
I am doing great, man. This is the inaugural episode of our new show. It's hot, cutting edge, and it's on the life of collecting wrestling figures, man. Couldn't be more excited, couldn't be more happy to put this out there for everybody. And get rid of that stigma of, collecting wrestling figures is a bad thing. So I love it, man. It's a good time. This is something I'm passionate about, and I'm happy to share it with everybody. Also want to put in there, Riders and Hawken always open up with saying they're Mr. Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. Well, I'm Dennis Rodman of the fucking action figure collecting there, so kiss my ass.
There you go. There ain't nothing wrong with catching those rebounds, man. I'm telling
And
you.
just kidding, by the way, man, I love you guys over there. So
Well, I'm the John Paxson. I'm the three-point shooter on this one, man. I'm coming in
there
at
you
the
go.
end here in the reserves a little bit here. I'm new to the game of collecting and the figures, but I've hopped right into it really well. You've been like my pod Yoda, or like, excuse me, not my pod. You've been my Fig Yoda there for the Fig world to teach me, and I've hopped right in there, I think, and had a
Dude,
pretty nice collection, man. I'm
you
trying to learn
picked it
my
up quick.
knowledge.
You picked it
Yeah,
up
it's a
quick.
lot to it, man. It's a fun world to get into. And like you said, there's
Yeah.
this stigma like out there with people with figure stuff. And it's these people that knock on people in the wrestling bubble, man, the wrestling world, the wrestling podcasting game, whatever it is, that if you collect figures, you're this, that, and the other thing. It's come on, man. Like people have hobbies, people have stuff they like. It's a fun hobby, man. You can see in the back of my wall here that's in this because it's video now. We're new to doing video stuff. We're going to get really good at the video editing. We're going to keep improving the quality of all the stuff that we're doing on video here, because I've been doing podcasting and straight audio for nearly 2 years now. So I'm learning the video game of it, the video editing stuff, which we're excited to get into as well. We've
Yeah.
done a little bit of stuff in the past on it on the channel on YouTube. But this is something we're doing not for downloads. I mean, it'd be great to get lots of downloads, lots of hits and stuff. We're doing it because it's fun to us and something
Yeah.
we enjoy. And we want to remove that stigma for everybody that, if you're a collector or you're into figures, that it is what it is. No way, man. If you're having fun doing it, that's what we're here to do. So what we're going to do on Fig Life here is we're going to bring out all the different cool action figures that we got in our collections. We want to hear about your collections too. It's an interactive show. You're going to see
Hmm.
links that we're going to pop up throughout the show here, where you can reach us on Twitter, where you can reach us on social media, how you can get in contact with us, how you can go check out our collections, our stuff that we make available on our store, on our website, rcpodnetwork.com. It's got to go right at the store. You can see what's out there that we're putting up there and we're selling and putting out. It's going to be constantly evolving and growing. And this show is going to focus on things that we find in the present, things that we have from the past, really cool finds and scores that we get, because with collecting, Richie, you know it better than I do. You can create some hell of a great deals for yourself, and you can have
Oh.
some tremendous scores if you keep your eye out there, right, buddy?
Oh, you're not lying about that, man. And I'm gonna be sharing a few of my techniques that I use personally to get good deals. That way, I can hopefully help you all out there build your own collection and get some good scores and finds and stuff of that nature. But I just want to open this show up with something, man. I want to ask you, and I hope you return the favor because I'd like to answer the question myself.
Sure.
What's been appealing to getting in this collection for you, man? What's the reason that you're digging collecting figures so much and living the fig life?
Man, well, I'm telling you, I love wrestling. I've been a wrestling fan since I was 5 years old, Richie. I've never lost my passion, and yeah, it gets a little hard for me sometimes. I grew up collecting everything, and unfortunately, when I was younger, I held everything. I held on to everything. I had just about everything in the box. I had a massive collection. If I was to value it today to what I have, I bet you it'd be close to six figures to what I had and to what was lost, unfortunately, to us in a really, really terrible flood that we had up here in New York where I live. Richie lives out in Arizona. I live in New York. We had a really awful flood out here. All of my stuff had been stored in my parents' home that I actually own and live in now. And
Hmm.
it was literally almost swallowed our house whole there. We lost everything inside of it. So all of my collectible stuff, when I was not here at the time, my parents didn't know what was all out in these totes and boxes that I had. And it unfortunately got swept away in ruin. So I probably lost, thousands of dollars and tens of thousands of dollars of stuff that, nowadays what it would be worth. So
Right.
for years, I didn't have anything anymore. I had stopped collecting.
Mm-hmm.
And to make a long story short, when we lost all that stuff in 2006, I never really got back into anything. And the stuff that
Mm-hmm.
I had was long gone. And me and you, when we became friends and started getting into stuff, you had sent me a really cool box of some stuff. And I was hooked right back from the beginning there because it was just fun for me. I was seeing all these cool products. I was finding all these great scores out there. I love the art. I love the nature of how they build these things and how they
Yeah.
do them and the science to buying and selling and to doing everything. And there's a science to it. And it's just a fun thing for me. I love to have my room that I'm in right now, which is my studio, my office, and my
Yeah.
man cave in my house. And this is my space and this is my room to have where all my stuff are at. And I love when people walk into my office because you have to actually in my house walk through it one of the doors to come in, and people instantly go and they look at my collection like, "Holy shit, man! What the hell?
Yeah.
Look at all this cool stuff you got." And I'm like, "Wow,
Right.
thank you, cool. Do you like wrestling?" And if they're like, "Well, I haven't seen it in years," well, hey, come take a look at this, and this, and they're looking in awe of it. And I'm
Yep.
like, I'm proud of that collection. So for me, it's just a fun thing I love to do, man. How about you?
I've been collecting for about 4 years now, wrestling figures. And when I started out, me and my wife, we've been together for a while now, and I felt kind of weird, getting back into it, because it's one of those stigmas that you have. You don't really feel comfortable. It's insecurities and things of that nature. Because all in all, man, we're grown men, so it looks kind of weird, purchasing action figures and things of that nature at this age. But one thing that I will say is wrestling's been a constant in my life, probably the only constant that I've ever held on to. So with figures, it's, a lot of the different things that they make that are so close to memories that I've had in wrestling. It's kind of like almost a time capsule for me. Certain figures have certain attires that trigger certain memories that I've seen on TV or experienced live or that kind of thing. So, for me, it's fun, man. You get to look at those things and relive those memories. Um, it brings a lot of comfort to me in a lot of ways. So that's kind of how I did it. Not to mention, when I was a kid, that's all me and my brother did was watch wrestling and collect figures together. And like you said, man, I had a hell of a collection when I was a kid, and unfortunately, I let a couple rare ones breathe a little too much, man, and we destroyed those things and played with them and just ran them into the ground. So what I would have now if I had all those figures from back then, it's crazy. But yeah, man, that's kind of why I do it. Is it just brings me comfort, brings me happiness, and I get to share it with people. Like you said, when people see it, they get blown away, just because of the effort and time that I've put into it as far as putting the collection together. And it's fun for me to share those experiences and talk about it and come on here and now we get to do this show and meet a lot of cool people hopefully and see their collections and stuff. So it's a really fun gig for me, man.
How many and you have way more than just wrestling figures, man. There's so much more to your wrestling collection that we'll bring out over time. But
Yeah.
how many wrestling figures do you think that you own at this point in time throughout your house? Your wife is a champ with stuff that lets it out there. I'm
Yeah.
lucky I got my one space right now, man, in the house, and that's
Yeah.
a big one for my wife to kind of give it to me because she's still getting used to the fact that I'm spending money and I'm doing this, but she's understanding it, a little bit
Yeah.
better now because it's hard for people to understand like you said, grown men spending money on action figures and different collectibles and stuff. But she's getting it. She's
Yeah.
understanding, of it. But I mean, I probably got close to 100 already, man. Plus,
Yeah.
things, or maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. And I just started, a very short time ago. What do
Right.
you got going on though? Because I've seen part of your stuff, man. You have an
Yeah.
insane collection. What do you think you're pushing out there?
I'm thinking I'm close to probably a little bit less than 1100. I'm probably
Whew,
at that 1000 mark, 1050.
wow.
So and those are all boxed. I mean, I hardly have any loose ones, if at all. So, I've probably forgotten a few that are loose, but for the most part, they're all in boxes, and I'd say about 1,000 of them, bro.
Wow, that's a lot, man. I can't wait to get mine up there one day. I might be divorced by the time that happens, but it's
Yeah.
just joking on that one. But
No, I hear
it's
you.
That's a lot, man. I can't wait to get up to that level there, man. I don't know where I'll put it all. I guess I'm lucky that my son is 18 and moving out and going in the army here this year, because I'll have
Yeah.
an extra room in the house now that I can start storing even more stuff in eventually. But and that's
Yep.
about 8 months down the road. So
Yep.
when he's coming home there, he might be sleeping in action figure land there,
Oh
because
man.
that's going to be an extra room of goodness there. And I actually have another idea of something I want to do next year.
Oh
But
man.
I'm
Cool.
rebuilding a whole room downstairs in my house there over the next year, and it's going to be cool if I can get it the way I want it to, but that's way down
Yeah.
the road. Just visionary stuff of things that I want, because there's other collectible stuff that I'm into now. I'm getting big into actually Star Wars stuff as well.
Awesome.
I'm a big Star Wars fan, and
If I had the room, I would do it too, man. But I
yeah,
just, my wrestling collection has just gotten huge in a short
yeah,
period of time.
it's going to be something I'm going to venture out in here soon, and I'll show as I get down the road. I'm a big Star Wars fan, just
Sweet.
huge, and I
Yeah.
love, really got into it over the last few years. And the Star Wars collectible stuff is some cool shit too, man. So,
Oh, absolutely.
but it's big money for people, when we look at collectible stuff here, and it's something down the road that I want to get into. I had an offer to buy a really awesome set of stuff of about 1,500 pieces of Star Wars gear recently, and Star Wars stuff. Had the money set aside for it, was going to do it, but unfortunately, I said not the right time right now. We had a
Yeah.
lot of expenses personally. I own two homes. I got my taxes due on my houses and stuff. I'm like, well, got to push that back a little bit. As much as I'd love to do it, my wife might kick my ass if I spend a couple
Yeah.
$1,000s on Star Wars stuff, even though I would
Absolutely.
have had the most badass room in the world of Star Wars collectibles. But down the road, we'll see, man. I'm
Oh
telling you.
yeah.
Well, we'll
And your
share all the
wrestling figure collection is growing quick, man. I mean, I have not seen anybody assemble the figures that you have and the quality that you have in such a short amount of time, man. I mean,
Yeah,
you've
I have.
amassed some really good ones that I've even been jealous of a few of them myself. So
Yeah, I gotta say, man, I have an addictive quality to me when I get into something I like here. So
yeah,
that's one thing I will say about my personality. I definitely, when I love something, I love something, and I love this. So
that's
we'll
why
be
me and you get
amassing.
along, brother.
Amen, man. We're gonna amass this together. We're gonna share it with everybody, and we want you guys to interact with us here. You're gonna, like I said, you're gonna see the links to everything. We
Yep.
try to keep the episodes. We're not gonna put a time frame on them, but with video content, you're gonna see them. We'll do 15, 20 minutes at a shot usually. Sometimes we'll run longer. We're probably gonna run longer on this first episode today, but just know that when you guys expect when you come here and listen to the show, we're gonna give you at least new episodes a week, maybe more, and we're going to convert them into an audio file as well. So we're going to do the audio and stuff for our podcast, put it up on our podcast links, and you'll be able to see the podcast links and on our emblems and stuff that I'm going to put up here in the video stuff for the show, so you guys can get a chance to see or listen to. And if you're wrestling fans, I'm telling you, you're not going to find shows that are going to give you the wrestling content that we do for podcasting. So if you're into the wrestling figure collectibles, it means you're a wrestling fan. 99.9% chance says that you're a big wrestling fan. And if you're a big wrestling fan, you're going to want to go check out our shows: Wrestling with Reality, Wrestling Anonymous, Red Turtles Wrestling podcast. We got a lot of great stuff. But let's get into our figures and our collections for today, man. Let's break off this first episode. We've broken down why we're into it. We gave you guys a little background on us. You'll learn more about us over time. We
Yep.
got a lot of great content we've already put together, and we're going to keep putting together. But this is episode 1. So for episode 1, we're going to do a little segment for the week for each episode. We're going to try to keep them different for the episodes in a week, but we're going to throw 3-4 different segments a week at you guys. And one of them we're going to do is we're going to go a little retro each week. And we're going to go to a retro find that we have, or a retro thing that we like. And you have a great retro score for your first one. So what's your retro pick of the week for something that you like for your collection, my friend?
So actually, I picked up this 1990 Galoob Sting, and if you look at this here, man, it's the blue tights. So it's not the rare one. The rare one's actually the one with like the salmon orange tights that they have.
Mm-hmm.
But still, nonetheless, what an iconic figure. You got the Stinger, with this cheesy WCW belt that they had,
Yeah,
and
that's
back
awful
in the
looking.
oh god, man, back in the day, they didn't put much thought or details into the championship belts, which is leaps and bounds of today what they do.
You know what that
But
was to replicate, actually, right there, Richie?
what's
It
that?
was it was their version. They called it the International Heavyweight Championship.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that if
Huh.
from what I'm seeing here, it looks like the International Heavyweight Championship. Sting and Rick Rude had a feud over it, actually, at that point in time, as these Galoob characters were coming out.
Oh, good grief! I didn't know that, man.
Yep.
That's news to me there.
It was the
But
New Japan World title, if I recall correctly.
oh really?
Yeah, at one point. So I believe that's what it was. It could be a little wrong on the New Japan part, but it was a Japanese title that they turned into the international heavyweight title.
Huh. That's news to me, brother.
Yep.
But yeah, going back to the figure though, I mean it's a great looking figure. They didn't have any articulation really in this. They were more just kind of hunks of rubber, man, really. I mean, but in my opinion personally, they had a lot of good details in these for the technology they had at the time. They didn't have the R3 technology or the real scan that they have today or anything of that nature. So I think they knocked it out of the park with this one. You look at the packaging and things of that nature, it's got that real 90s, old school vibe to it. And then you look on the back, it's got the checklist of the different guys and stuff. They also had this iconic set of trading cards that came with it. You had the Stinger on here, and a few other of the guys that were in the series were iconic in their own rights. You had Ric Flair, Arn Anderson, Sid Vicious, Barry Windham, Sting, Luger, Flying Brian Pillman, Scott Steiner, Rick Steiner, Ron Simmons, Butch Reed, and Z-Man Tom Zink.
The
So,
Z-Man. Wow.
yep. And if you collected all 12, you got the 12 trading cards with that, man. And these Galoobs are so iconic, and a lot of kids remember having these. This was back when, WCW was in their heyday with all the cheesy gimmicks and things of that nature. So that kind of, this epitomizes that. Uh, it just these things take me back, bro. These are some of my favorite figures to look at. They just bring that nostalgia out. So that's why I
God, I
picked
forgot.
that this week.
Yeah, I like that though, man. I forgot about Galoob, man. I really do. I forgot about the Galoob products, but when I saw the ones on the back there that you were just mentioning, I probably had almost all of them. I think except for the Butch Reed, as a kid, I didn't have. I remember having the Steiner brothers, the Z-Man one. Um, is Vader on there too, or is he might not have been in this set right here, but I
I
remember
don't
the
think
Arn Anderson. But
Yeah, I don't think they came out with a Vader. This was pretty much the Galoob set right here.
okay,
Because San Francisco Toys actually ended up buying them out the rights
gotcha.
to produce WCW figures. So that's when they started getting Vader and people like that
Yep,
in there. They were the thicker plastic characters that they made later
yep.
on.
And Pillman
But
was in the set too, right?
Flying Brian Pillman was in the set. They had different various attires that would come out, different colors.
Okay.
But Brian Pillman, I would say, was probably the more rare of the set. So if you got a
Yeah.
Flying Brian Pillman out there, you got something that's worth some money.
Well, anytime with Pillman, man, when you're looking at that old stuff, that's worth some cash right there. That was a beaut,
Absolutely.
man. That's a
Thank you.
beautiful looking one. Like
Thank you.
the great condition too on the box and
Yeah,
everything on that.
absolutely.
I think
Like to
people
keep
are
my
gonna,
stuff meticulously nice, man. I'm real weird about that.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say too, man. People are gonna notice about us is that one thing is that we're very meticulous with stuff. So it's like sometimes we, when you purchase, you don't always get the best quality, which people got to realize, when you're purchasing out from people. Sometimes
Yeah.
you don't always get banged up boxes. Maybe they're not taken care of as well. That's what happens sometimes. You know what you get into when you're collecting.
Part of the fig life, baby.
It is, man. If you get stuff though and you got good shape on it, keep it in it. I don't want to let
Yep.
anything out there unless I buy a set of loosies, where there are a bunch of loose figures out there. But I
Yep.
really don't go after. I mean, I got a really small collection of loosies out there, man, that I got. They're mainly old WCW ones. They're in my background here up on my wall.
Yep.
That I have. I have some pretty rare ones that are actually out there from the WCW line that I actually don't have displayed. I have a
Hmm.
Taskmaster one that's out there. I got a couple cool Hogan ones that they had when they did the early ones, but I'm not really into the Lucy. So you're gonna probably see that with me and Richie a lot. That everything that we have is boxed, and pretty much
Yeah.
all of our stuff that is boxed that we have is in pretty meticulous orders, unless it was something that we bought knowing it was dinged up a little bit. And
Right.
I'm not gonna lie, usually when I get something dinged up, I actually repair it and fix it myself, and
Yeah.
clean it up, as best I can. And sometimes you can't take creases out of boxes, but if you're getting into collecting, you're gonna have to notice that with people and be really meticulous to look at the stuff on eBay,
You
or
really got to be
Amazon, whatever you're
careful.
buying off of. Yeah,
Yep.
you got to. And, and if you're buying something that says it's a brand new quality, you should get in that quality. When we sell, the first thing we put up when we sell is we give an exact description of it. I don't want
Yeah.
anybody to ever be deceived in any way, and I want them to
Close
know
up
if something.
pictures as well.
Yep. And we want them to know, man, this is what it looks like. The box, if it's in great condition, we're going to tell you it's in great condition. If it's in not so great condition, we're going to let you know too, for stuff that we
Right.
sell in our store. Like The box is dinged up. It's got creases in it. It's an average shape because don't want to deceive you. Now, there is people out there that will try to deceive you on the internet, on eBay, especially that I've seen. They're going to sell you stuff that is fucking dinged up and banged up and things. And that's wrong to do. So
we don't, on this show, we don't throw the mint on card term around loosely, man. That is something that if it's mint on card, you damn sure bet it's going to be mint on card. So,
and if we're selling it too, and you're going to see it on our store here as we build up our product on rcpodnetwork.com, head over there. You can see our store. There's a link right to the store. And you'll see a lot of collectibles and figures that we're going to be putting up. We got a small inventory on there right now, but there's going to be a lot more added on, especially as we're going through some boxes of stuff we're going to be putting up there. So you might definitely want to check that out. It's got the prices, the way to contact us if you're interested in purchasing them. Everything is negotiable. And we're going to give you the exact description of it. And if you have a question on it, you're going to get an exact description, because when we would send it out to you, as we would expect somebody to do to us, it's going to be packaged perfectly. It's going to be sent out there. It's going to be insured, and it's going to make sure it comes out good. So look at that stuff when you guys are looking, if you're new to this game, as we've learned, because I've gotten a few things that weren't to the quality I liked when I paid for it on eBay. So I know it's happened to you too.
It's unfortunate when things like that happen, and it gives the hobby a bad name. A lot of those people out there that do that stuff. So you just got to be careful and be aware that there are people out there at the end of the day that are just trying to make a buck off this stuff. And unfortunately, they don't have the same morals as the rest of us do. So there's a bad egg in every hobby out there. You just got to realize that most of the time there's more good than bad. And that's what makes the hobby fun. I've met a lot of great people in this game, and it's been a great experience overall. That's why I continue to do it.
Absolutely, man. Well, great retro pick of the week. Now, for my segment, I'm going to do a for sale one. So this is going to be something that we're going to have on our store that you can go out and purchase. And this figure right here, I've had a lot of interest in it, and I've had a lot of people that want to pick it up, and I've had a lot of people try to lowball us on the number. This is a very, I wouldn't say rare, but it's a very hard to find one, and it's very, very in demand for this link at certain points. You can sometimes find some of them. Sometimes you might not find them. It really, I don't know. Would you classify this figure as pretty rare, or would you classify it as kind of like a low to average rare?
You know, in today's day and age, man, a Hasbro in the box in good shape is rare. No matter how you look at it, I don't care who it is or how many were produced. That's just the way the way the cookie crumbles with that. This particular one, I would classify it as rare. Yeah, man, definitely.
All right. This was a steal, man, that we picked up on too. And, we're not going to get into a lot of pricing stuff on here, because if you want to go to pricing, you can go up and you can go look at it on the website and you can see what we're selling it at. For this segment right here, we'll tell you what we are looking to sell things at sometimes. And we will do a segment on the score of the week that we do on the other show. And the score of the week is when we're kind of get into pricing and stuff. Pricing is very subjective. When you look at pricing on the internet, some people price really crazy high. Some people price crazy ass low and ruin it for the rest of the people. And when you got figures like this one that I'm going to put out, that is on our website, rcpodnetwork.com, that you can find. And this is, like you said, I mean, that's a really good definition of it to constitute it as rare. The Hasbro line was a tremendous line that they did. This was a 1994 figure from the Hasbro line. And this is one you'll see sometimes around, and you'll see very fluctuating prices on it from people. And the condition that I found this in, and I got it on, was an amazing fucking deal. I'll just say that. It was an amazing deal that I got this on. I couldn't pass it up when I saw it. And it's one of the ones that I know you love too, because you love the Hasbro.
100%, man.
And it is in great condition for a figure that's almost 30 years old. And the way that I found it, I was so surprised to see that it was in the condition that it was in. And just the way I found it, I'll just leave it at that, because it shouldn't have been in that condition level that it was at. But it's the 1994 Doink Hasbro line. So I'll pop it up here right on the screen for you guys. And you'll see as Richie puts them up and gives you his picks and mine, you'll see that I'm gonna put in the clips from them, for the different internet clips that you'll see of the images of them. This is how it looks for ours, as you're going to see it on here. And you'll see in the split screen the other box there, the other look that you'll see. So you get a really clear image of it from the internet that I'll be putting up here when we do the different figures that we do. Now, the one I love about this Doink figure is, for 1994, this was a really realistic looking figure. And
Yeah.
you can look at the facial structure of it. And the cool part about this one was the green hair that it had, man. And
Yeah.
Doink figures are worth a lot of money usually. Would you
Yeah.
say that's a pretty accurate thing right there, Richie?
I would, because there's not many of him out there, man. And as you said, this one in particular, the attire they nailed perfectly, and I think that's what you meant by it. It
Yep.
wasn't to scale as far as, realism, as far as, to scale of the body and
Yep.
different things of that nature, but definitely the attire and the mannerisms of his face and everything like that. I feel like the Hasbros did a great job for the technology of
Mhm.
that time.
Yep. Absolutely, man. And as you can see on this box right here, for a 94 figure and for how I found this, it's only got a couple of creases in the box, really.
Yeah.
That's the extent of the damage that you see on this. Just a couple of little creases on there. It's got perfect seams in it. It's completely glued down perfectly. It's never been opened, and you'll see a lot of times with figures, people's will open the boxes sometimes and reseal them on their own, which you can tell
Yeah.
immediately, pretty much if somebody's done that. Even if they're good at resealing them, you can just see in the plastic on it how they do it. This has obviously never been opened.
No.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts about this. That to me, I would 100% say it's never been opened. And they had a really great line on this. They had the trading card on the back here too, as well. So you could see the trading character. They would have the list of the various figures that they had in this line. And on the trading card here, if you collected them, you could cut them out, you could clip them and save. And the old school line on a lot of the WWF stuff was you collected these points that they had on the back. You could save them up. You could get discounts and be part of their club that they had at that point in time. You could get discounted tickets. You could get free tickets. You could get a whole multitude of things. And at one point with my figures I had earlier on with the WWE or WWF point system that they had at the time, I actually won tickets. And I believe it was to see, and after it wasn't from these figures, but it was from earlier ones that they had done this on. And I believe it was when we went to go see when I was a kid, shortly after WrestleMania 5, we saw Macho Man versus Hogan at a house show. And I believe, yeah, great,
Those are some
amazing
great
event.
tickets to score off of that, man, for a
Yeah,
hobby.
we had saved them up because we had done so much at the time there. And, this is late 80s, early 90s at this point. I can't remember the exact time. I was about 7 or 8. And I had saved all the points and we had sent them into the WWF fan club that they had for this stuff. And once you got enough points, you got free tickets to stuff. And when they came to our town, we had so many points that we got free tickets. And I believe
That's
it was the Hogan
incredible.
event. I'm pretty positive going back 30 plus years for me that it was that event. It was a really cool thing that they did on their action figures back in the day. And I believe we actually had fifth row seats. And I
Oh
do
God, that's
remember,
incredible.
yeah, and I do remember the match was in a steel cage too.
Holy cow,
A
man. What
blue
what a
steel
way
cage.
to what a way to promote the selling of the figures and everything by giving stuff like that out.
Yeah.
I was a figure fan off the bat, but just giving tickets out to purchase those things, that's a bonus in itself. So I would have done it 10 times
Yeah.
over. But
It was a cool feature that they had back in the day with the fan
yeah,
club and to accrue those things and stuff. It was something the WWF did with the WWF magazine, the WWF fan club that they had. And I remember it vividly as a kid. And the Hasbro figures, this point was about 94-ish. This was a little
right.
later down the road. They were still continuing to do this. And the Hasbro figures, man, were really cool because they had gone off the LJN models,
Yeah.
that big plastic hunky figures where it just looked like a certain way. So this is a score, man. I'm telling you, if you go look at the price that we have it up on the website, you're not going to find many prices better than this that are in the condition that this is. So go check it out on our website. You can see it, see how what we're charging for it, and to see what you could have to get this figure for a very rare find here, an old school find that's nearly 30 years old. That's 25 plus years old now, and
Yeah.
is in tremendous condition. And it's a beautiful figure. So check it out, rcpodnetwork.com, right over on our store. And if you're interested, shoot us a message over there, and you'll see the ways to get in contact with us. And if you're interested in purchasing it, let us know because we've had a lot of offers on it and
Yep.
we're fielding them out there right now. So if you're interested, you definitely might want to hop on it now because we've had 4 or 5 offers in the last couple of days alone since we just put it up. So definitely something you might want to check out there. So let's close the show out though, Richie. You just recently picked up an amazing score over at Ringside here. And me and you are both huge fans of the Hardys. and the
Yep.
stuff that they've done throughout their career. And this is going to be our stamp of approval for the week. So this is our stamp of approval segment, and this is something that we picked up or something we have that's just an amazing figure, and that we're giving our personal stamp of approval on, man. So what do you got for us this week, brother?
So for the inaugural stamp of approval for this show, man, nothing looks better than a figure like this because I gotta say, ringside exclusive, the figures that come out in that line are next to none as far as quality and realism and things of that nature. You could tell these guys are wrestling fans because they nail the attires down to a T. They pay attention to small details that you'll see in this figure in particular that just makes old school wrestling fans like us go crazy about stuff like that. So I'll go ahead and show you it now. It's the Hardy Boyz Brood exclusive figure.
That's a beaut, man.
Yep, you got Jeff Hardy with his Rainbow Warrior hair there. You got Matt Hardy. And one thing that me and John personally like in these figures is a lot of the Mattels, the elites, actually have rubber clothing and things of that nature.
Yep.
And the attention to detail here on their shirts, I think they knocked it out of the park with, man. And they actually made those cloth. So that's a big detail that I end up, really enjoying in a lot of figures that come out, and that's kind of the things that I pay attention to. The packaging on this looks pretty damn good in my opinion. It looks like they're coming out of that entrance that they used to do with Gangrel there. You can
Yep.
see the steel grate on the ground if you flip the box in a little bit there. And then, of
Gotcha.
course, they're surrounded by the flames. Got a few changes of the hands that you can do just to kind of pose them and things of that nature. I don't let my figures breathe at all, so I keep them in the packaging. Those are kind of useless to me, but still a cool feature nonetheless. You turn it over here, you get a nice picture of them that really, gets that Brood image going there, and then you get the biography off of the character at the time of what they were going through in the storylines and things of that nature and what they accomplished. So I thought that was a nice touch as well, man. But when you look at this figure and especially these tag team titles and the detail they put into them there, this really, gets the Attitude Era feeling in it.
That's beautiful, man. That's a beautiful figure they created. And what was that going on ringside for right now? It's not even that much money, right?
No, they've had a few sales because it's the holiday season. That's something that Ringside Collectibles is really good at and really fair about. When the holidays come around, they really have some great prices. You got to get over there and check them out. Um, Actually, man, I picked that up, I believe, for $24
Wow.
when it was out the door there. So definitely a good steal there.
Yeah, and it's going to go up in price here really shortly here after the holidays, especially. And
Yeah.
Ringside is very smart about when to sell things at a lower price, and when
Yeah.
they're selling out really fast, they're going to jack up. So Ringside is just quality all the way along with all the stuff that they do, in my opinion. And I know you feel the same. You're the one that turned me on to Ringside. You can walk over to
Absolutely.
Ringside Collectibles, man, like I did. I bought 12 figures over there. I believe it was about 3, 4 weeks ago, right around I think it was Black Friday week that we were on
Yeah.
there. Me and you were
Yep.
talking, and we were going through some of the stuff on together when we were talking on over Skype.
I still have
And
it all right here.
yeah, I got 12 figures with shipping for 81 bucks, man. And some of the
Yeah.
figures I get and that I got literally was you're looking at 3, 4 times the markup to them now because they had such a great deal on it. Probably out of the 80 bucks I spent on all those figures, I bet you I could get, if I was to want to put them up now online and sell them, which I don't. They're all proudly hanging with me and I love them.
Yeah.
I'm not selling the ones I picked up. Probably I would get 4 or 5 times the amount that I paid for it. So I bet you
Yeah.
I paid 81 bucks for it. I bet you I could at least get 250 to $350 if I was to sell them all individually
Yeah.
because they hold their value tremendously and they continue to go up for the most part.
Yeah, they do, man. And the ones that they put out there aren't garbage figures that are just,
They're
being
beautiful.
yeah, they're great, ringside exclusives that, you can only get through their website that they've made. So these guys,
Yep.
they knock it out of the park every time. I can't say enough about them. And for the most part in my collection, you'll look in my collection, there is very many of the ringside collectibles. I can't say it enough, man. The attention to
Yep.
detail that they do is just next to none. So if you're a
Yep. They keep
wrestling fan and you see their figures, you're gonna see what they're all about. So
And they keep popping out more lines of beautiful figures, man, and it's
Yeah.
beautiful stuff that they're doing. And they're very fairly priced all the way around. And like I said, keep an eye out. Like Richie had showed me when I started doing it. If you keep an eye out, you can get these figures at an amazing deal of price. I mean, shit, I picked up a Matt Hardy ECW figure that they made, man. I picked it up for $4 and it's easily worth $25. And I know they're selling, I think now for 20 to 25 range, right around there.
Yep.
And that's what they do. Ringside is quality all the way, man. And I've ordered from them multiple times now since my first original order with them, and they've always been quality and fast in sending it.
Yep.
Packaging comes in perfect, and can't say enough great things about Ringside Collectibles.
Well,
So make sure you guys go check them out online if you're already not, looking at them, or you're new to this stuff and you want to start building your collection up. Definitely Ringside's a way to go to check it out, because the figures, when you see them in Walmart, they don't get put in there most of the time, or if they do, they're gone fast, or in Walmart or Target. The way to go is to
Yep.
go through Ringside Collectibles. They give you a great deal.
Yep.
Well, Richie, great first episode. Great stuff that we put out there, man. I hope you guys go check it out. I hope you guys check out the website that we have, rcpodnetwork.com. And over there, once again, you can find the store, find the deals, find the ways to get in contact with us if you're interested. You can also find our podcast links out there, as I mentioned earlier. You got Wrestling Anonymous that Richie hosts and that I do, where we look at all the deep down taboo things in the wrestling world from way back and when to even present items that we're going to do. So we cover everything that's dark, that's taboo, that's out there. It's a great show. We do some watch alongs to go along with the content. We got great topics. This weekend, we're doing Brian Pillman. We're going to go over the Brian Pillman's, the kind of the life and death of Brian Pillman and some of the tragedy that was involved with it. And Brian's a big guy that we were big fans of. So we're excited to do that. We've done the Montreal screw job. We've done the unfortunate passing of Owen Hart, and just killing it, man. So check out Wrestling Anonymous. Check out my show, other one, Wrestling with Reality, that Richie's my co-host on. We do 5 to 6 weeks of content, or 5 to 6 days a week of content in all forms of wrestling, from WCW, ECW, TNA, everything you want, we got it over there. Rad Turtles Wrestling is another show we got that covers all the modern product with AEW, WWE, Raw, SmackDown, NXT, AEW shows, pay-per-views, watch-alongs, you name it, it's over there too. So check those out and keep checking out Fig Life. We're going to have at least 2 new episodes a week for you guys. And make sure you give me and Richie a follow over there on Twitter. Richie's at _Reardon, and I am at WWR Podcast. You can see the links that we put up in the show, and right about now you'll see them as well on how to go over there if you're on Twitter. Or check us out on Instagram, Reality Check Podcast Network. We'll have links for all of our shows and everything that we're doing up there as well. And of course, our website, as I mentioned earlier, rcpodnetwork.com. That's enough plugs, Richie. We're going to be back next couple of days here with another great episode here on Fig Life, because Richie, when you are down with it, you guys check out the website that we have, rcpodnetwork.com.
Life.